Johannes Ciconia was a composer and music theorist of the late Middle Ages. He was born in Liège, but worked most of his adult life in Italy, particularly in the service of the papal chaplain at Padua Cathedral. He was the son of a priest and a woman of high social standing, since at least 3 other men around Liège had that name as well. This has created biographical confusion, first solved by David Fallows in 1975. Johannes Ciconia, probably the composer's father, worked in Avignon in 1350 as a clerk for the wife of Pope Clement VI's nephew. Another Johannes Ciconia is recorded in Liège in 1385 as a duodenus, generally identifying a person of young age. Scholars agree that this is the composer himself. Papal records suggest that Ciconia was in the service of Pope Boniface IX in Rome in 1391. His whereabouts between the early 1390s and 1401 are unknown. For this time until his death in 1412, he was connected to the Cathedral of Padua in some capacity. It is unclear whether he arrived in Padua earlier than 1401. His lament con lagrime Bagnardome is described in one source as written for the death of Francesco of Carrara. If this refers to Francesco il Nuovo, it would date from after 1406. If, however, it was written for the death of Francesco il Vecchio, as scholars have assumed, this would place him in Padua by 1393. The possibility of an intermediate stay in Pavia has also been suggested by Nardes and Zeno, on the grounds that this is where he would have connected with the House of Visconti and acquired knowledge of the Ars Subtilia style and the compositions of Philipoctus de Caserta quoted in his Susan Fontaine. Music. Ciconia's music is an eclectic blend of styles. Pieces typical of northern Italy, such as his madrigal Una Panthera, appear with pieces steeped in the French Ars Nova. The more complex Ars Subtilia style surfaces in Susan Fontaine. While it remains late medieval in style, his writing increasingly points toward the melodic patterning of the Renaissance. For instance, in his setting of O Rosabella, he read music both secular and sacred in form. He is also the author of 2 treatises on music, Nova Musica and De Proportionibus. His theoretical ideas stem from the more conservative Martiettian tradition in contrast to those of his Paduan contemporary prose Decimus de Beldemandis. Although contrafacts and later manuscript sources of his compositions suggest that he was well known in Florence, his music is scarcely represented in major Florentine sources of the period. For instance, the Squarcialupi Codex contains nothing by Ciconia, but on the other hand, many of his motets and mass movements are included in the MS known as Bologna MS Museo Internazionale e Biblioteca della Musica Q15. Complete work recordings. Johannes Ciconia, Oeuvre intégrale. Hugh Elgar's Ensemble. Johannes Ciconia, Opera Omnia, L'Amore and Diabolus in Musica.